I'm going to do a mixture of telling you a little bit of what I'm doing, plus at the same time just talking in general. So first what I do is break the canvas, which is to do some scribbling in oil pastel and then just taking a dark colored paint, in this case red, and I'm opening, or I think I'm trying to get less of a glare, so I shut my blinds. But anyway, then I start adding some cool colors to my palette, and cool colors are greens, blues, and purples. And so varying colors of green, blues, and purples. And my style is basically circles and swipes and like arcs and organic shapes like that. So in the beginning, my idea is just to get a lot of paint on the canvas. So I just make lots of squiggly marks, and it looks like number 8 or the infinity symbol. And I really just work on having enough of diversity, or like variety of the colors in each area of the canvas. So if I have one color in the upper left corner, maybe I'll put it again also in the bottom right corner, or I'll make a pattern. Like here I'm painting, I don't know if it's purple, I can't remember, inside the circles that I made, and I do that for all of them. So things like that can start to create patterns. And so when you have a variety of patterns, it creates interest for the eye. And so, but like I said, I didn't think too much about it. I'm just doing it intuitively. So this is an intuitive style of painting where I feel that I want to do the next thing that I want to do. So I'm using a brayer here, and I'm adding some paint with the brayer, and then I continue filling in. Oh, now I have warm colors, which are the reds, oranges, yellows, and pinks. So the warm colors contrast the cool colors, and if you wait until the cool colors are dry, they won't make mud with the warm colors. So that was my idea here, is just adding warm colors once the cool colors have dried. So again, I have a variety of shapes and marks that I want to have on my canvas, and again, trying to fill in all the areas. It doesn't have to all be filled in these first 2 layers of warm and cool colors, because more layers will be added, and it doesn't have to look the way it looks now. Here I am turning the canvas, I'm adding another color, and I'm filling in spaces, and I'm not worrying about where the lines exactly go. But as you can see, I do like to go either from edge to edge on my canvas, or from some point of the canvas to an edge. So it ends up making these, I don't know what you call them, these organic shapes. And so now you can see I've got most of the canvas covered. I make a square here, and the square is my first really non-organic geometric shape. I did have some lines that I put in, but then I put a square in, and then I just used the rest of the paint to highlight. So I'm using this color, it's a light, warm color, to highlight some of the cool areas that I like. And so those oval shapes I like, so I wanted to keep those. But later on, I'm going to get rid of, there we go. I get rid of the square because I wasn't quite ready to have such a big geometric shape. And I made it into another oval. Now I'm using a scraper to scrape on white, which is a neutral color. And as you can see here, I only scraped a little bit of it on. Probably if I had it sturdier, I have this tabletop easel that's not that sturdy. So I couldn't fully grasp it to swipe it. But, you know, it was enough to get a little bit of white in there. But I am still having difficulty covering up that square, so I just move on. I add white, scrape away some of it there, add some more lines. So again, what I was saying before about repeat patterns, and there you saw my easel fall down, so I had to pick it up. But basically, you know, just adding a little bit of variety, making some lines on one side of the edge of the canvas and then going back to the other side and adding, you know, different lines. So here I go with another layer of color, and this time it's the fluorescent warm color, so it's like fluorescent red or fluorescent pink. And I go around the shapes again because I really do like these oval shapes. I don't think I'm really thinking about it. I just like them, and so I want to highlight them more. I go back in with more white to break up some of the darker areas. So I'm using contrast between like an intense color and a neutral color. So the fluorescents are really intense, bright, and then white is a neutral. So that creates a contrast when you highlight or go around a fluorescent color with white or something. Now here I am trying to drip down some magenta, which is a fluid acrylic, and I don't know, I still haven't mastered how to do that well. I make a mess. I end up only getting a little bit of it to drip, so I'm not too into the drips, but most of that gets erased later on by other layers. But I did have a lot of magenta left, so I like to use up what I have, and now I'm just sitting thinking of what I want to do next. And now I go back to cool colors, another layer of colors, greens, turquoise, or some sort of aqua color, because most of my cool colors from the first layer are almost all gone, so I probably realized here that I needed to add some more of those, and I'm using a foam brush to make thinner lines using the very tip of the foam brush. I go in to make some of those lines. Then I go in with a paintbrush and I add thicker lines. I tend to use a lot of thick lines, paintbrushes that can make thicker lines. So a lot of times I'll use watercolor brushes that are rounded, and sometimes like a medium-sized flat brush. So here I am adding the, I don't know if it's sort of an aqua or turquoise looking color. I don't remember the names. And I have to add a lot more cool colors in because they were almost gone from the first layer. So now I'm adding a greenish color again. I think I had it in the first layer and I liked it. And it's a really nice contrast to the reddish colors because red and green are opposite on the color wheel. So they create a really nice contrast. So I think I put some of the green on a red area there, or maybe it was a pink area. Again, I couldn't get great lighting in here. Anyway, so that's on my list of things to do is to get better lighting. But I just play around. I just look around, play around, and try to cover up areas that I think are too solid or they don't really have a good color combo. I cover them up with a color that I like. And here I am probably going in again with white. So I'm going in with white and yeah, going back over the ovals. That was the oval shape that was square, I think. No, this one was the oval shape. I've turned my canvas so many times, but I'm trying to get that shape the way that I want it to sort of match. And I don't think I realized it at this point, but at the end, when I looked back at it, I could see that from this angle, this is coming out looking like a botanical, looking like there are, some sort of pods coming out of these let's say, branches that are sticking out from the ground. So if you can sort of see that, it has a botanical theme, and I didn't really try to make a botanical theme, but it's turning out to look like a lot of branches with some pods or things like that sticking out. Now it's loosely abstract, so you really will have to use your imagination as you look. But that's just what I thought at the end. And then those two things look like leaves, but I didn't think of that at the time. Again, I was just adding cool colors and adding white for neutralizing. I go back over areas where paint had gotten covered up and I really liked that area, or like the paint was too light of a layer, so I need to add another layer. So then I go ahead and do that. Once again, I'm just looking at what I should do next. I think about it. And then what did I do there? I decided to use a stencil with purple up in the corner. Again, I didn't know what I was doing. I just added. And when I look back at that now, I think, oh, it looks like some kind of seeds. But again, I did the stencil, and I always have to clean my stencils after, when I'm at home. When I'm doing workshops, I don't clean my stencils. There's not enough time and they dry up. But I think at this point I mixed some colors. Like I mixed the deep purple with the white. So it gave me a lavender color, which was really pretty. And that was a new color that I decided to add in because I had dark purple and I wanted to contrast it with a light purple or lavender. And that's another way to create interest, is by taking the same color family, so purple, and making it into a lavender by adding white. So it's tinting it to a lighter color, and that creates contrast with the darker colors. I find it's more fun for me anyway to add light layers on after I have a lot of dark layers in the background, because my eye can see better what it is that I want to do in terms of like, oh, this is what I want to highlight, and I highlight things with lighter colors. So white, or this lavender is going in. But a lot of the time I am looking and seeing like how, because I kind of a little bit sloppily put the paints on the canvas. So then later on I go back and I think, well, I want to refine that a little, and I make it rounder, or I fill in spaces. So the whole time it's not just about creating this interesting contrast. There's some moments where I'm just, adding more layers of the same color to make it thicker, or filling in spaces that didn't have that particular color that I wanted, or the magenta leaks over into the white, so then I have to put a little bit more white where the white's supposed to be, for me anyway. So we're coming to the end. There's about a minute or so left in the video. And like I said, I just go in. I like to use up most of my paints on my palette. So I go in and I just use them. And I see if I can use them. But it's pretty easy when you have light colors at the end. All right, there I had dark purple, and I decided to take lavender and break up some of the big dark purple areas by adding dots, and those sort of look like the inside of a flower or a pod. So, but I didn't know any of that at the time, so that's why it is intuitive painting. And that's probably the last thing I do, is just touch up a few things after I added those dots in with a Q-tip. Then I'm just going through, and I don't even remember exactly, but just a little bit of touch-ups there. And any kind of areas where I think need to be fixed a tiny bit. And at some point then I have to just say that's it and let it go. And it could be worked on forever, but like I could keep going with it. But I don't have forever. I think it took me 2 hours to do this with the paint drying and all. And I believe I posted it on my Instagram. You could see it there. Hope you enjoyed it. It was fun to make.